Welcome to the Caregiver Relief Podcast. I'm Diane Carbo, RN, your host today. And today's topic is a topic most avoid. A cancer diagnosis can change everything in a minute. 1 minute, life is moving forward. The next, you are sitting in an exam room trying to absorb words like staging, biomarkers, chemotherapy, radiation, recurrence risk, clinical trials, and treatment plans. You may be scared, you may be numb, you may be trying to stay strong for your family while privately wondering, what does this mean? What should I ask? How do I know if I'm making the right decisions? For family caregivers, it can be just as overwhelming. You want to help, you want to take notes, you want to protect the person you love. But the cancer care system can sometimes feel rushed, complicated, and filled with medical language no one has prepared you to understand. Today's guest understands both the science and the human side of cancer care. Dr. Tiffany Troso-Sandoval, MD, is a medical oncologist who spent 25 years treating women with breast cancer and gynecological cancers at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. She has published more than 20 peer-reviewed research papers. But what makes Dr. Tiffany's work so powerful is not just her medical expertise. It is her deep belief that women with cancer deserve clarity, communication, education, and support. As a child, she watched her mother struggle to care for her grandmother, who had thyroid cancer, without clear explanations from the medical team. Years later, as an oncologist, she saw the same pattern repeated again and again. Strong, capable women walking into cancer care and becoming overwhelmed, quiet, and invisible in their own appointments. Today, Dr. Tiffany is the founder of the Empowered Cancer Patient Community, host of the Empowered Cancer Patient Podcast, and an author of the upcoming book, Calming the Cancer Chaos, an oncologist guide for women to understand, organize, and take control of their cancer care. This conversation is about helping patients and caregivers know what to ask, how to prepare, when to speak up, and how to feel less alone in their cancer journey. This episode is sponsored by myvitalvault.net, your all-in-one life organizer for aging adults and caregivers. It's designed to help you securely store your essential legal, medical, and emergency information in one easy-to-access place. Because when a crisis hits, being prepared can make all the difference. Join our Caregiver Relief community, a warm, welcoming space where you can connect with other caregivers, ask questions, share stories, and find support from people who truly understand. Visit community.caregiverrelief.com to join now, because caregiving is one of the hardest and most meaningful things you'll ever do, and no one should have to do it alone. And if this episode speaks to you, please take a moment to like, share, or comment. Every click helps us reach more caregivers who need encouragement, resources, and hope. Dr. Tiffany, I want to welcome you. I'm excited about having this conversation because I was 17 when my mom was diagnosed with lung cancer.
Wow.
And I was terrified, afraid, and she had radiation in those days. Anyway, we lost her, not to the treatments, but not to the cancer, but to the treatments,
Oh, wow.
complications of the treatments. So, but your path started to oncology started with molecular biology at Princeton.
Yeah.
But your mission began much earlier, watching your mom care for your grandmother. Can you share that story and how it shaped the kind of doctor you wanted to become?
Sure. And first, Diane, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here and to be able to speak to your followers. I'm hoping I'm going to give you a lot of very valuable information that will help a lot of people. Yes, when I was 7 years old and sitting in my mom's Pontiac with the red pleather seats in the '70s, which she left me in the summer in the sun with the window cracked open, as we do in the '70s, you know, it impressed on me how difficult the medical community actually is, especially watching my mother suffer trying to help her own mother, and remember feeling how helpless I felt, and that I always knew whatever I did, it carried with me that I never wanted to be the kind of person that made my mother cry. So I carried that with me. I certainly didn't know I wanted to be a doctor. There's no doctors actually in my family. And I went to Princeton and fell in love with molecular biology. I was always a science math kind of girl, and molecular biology back in the late '80s and '90s was really very cutting edge. It's when we were diagnosing and developing all the genes that we're looking at now that are called oncogenes, which we are know that are the kind of DNA changes that lead to cancer. And scientifically, I was set up to go towards this type of field. When I decided to go to medical school, I did a lot of rotations across the street from Cornell Medical at Sloan Kettering. And I realized that I liked working with women because I was always a very social type of a person. I like to relate to other women. I like to learn from other women, and that's just my personality. But I also found that being an oncologist was something that I really truly felt could be a place where I could make a difference.
Yeah.
And, if it had become a passion. It's like a calling to really want to help other people and make a big difference. And so here I am. So 25 years at Sloan Kettering, caring for women with breast and gynecological cancer. I actually pivoted about a year and a half ago. I had my own medical diagnosis. I have an eye disease that's causing me to slowly lose my vision. It's called macular telangiectasia. It's like
Oh,
macular degeneration, but the cause is different and it starts much earlier. So at 55, I retired much earlier than I had expected, but I wasn't done. I had a lot more I needed to do and wanted to do. And like I said before, it's a calling. And so I kind of pivoted. And now I'm in more of the educational advocacy space where I'm trying to help patients and caregivers to get the best possible cancer outcome because I don't feel like the system really helps them very much.
100%. And it must be your destiny to do this. And God bless you after a
Oh, thank
diagnosis like
you.
you have that you're continuing to help others. I love that. So when a woman first hears the words you have cancer, what usually happens emotionally and mentally in that moment?
Again, I haven't had cancer personally, but from my
Yeah.
experience of handling and managing thousands and thousands of patients, I think it's just a matter of fear and complete chaos and just loss of control that people will feel
Yeah.
where some it's like having the rug pulled out from underneath you and most people don't even know what to do. And so I think a lot of people actually will go into shock. And so the book that I wrote is really the purpose is to help people from the second they know something is wrong straight through all the way to survivorship. And I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit more, but I think what's really important is to take a moment and take a deep breath and gather yourself and help yourself to make a plan and gather your own team, who's going to help you. And that includes your family and your friends, as well as deciding what your next steps are in terms of medical care. Do you need to see a surgeon? Do you need to see an oncologist, medical oncologist, etc.? But to pause and realize that not every cancer diagnosis is necessarily a medical emergency, and
Yeah.
that sometimes gathering information and slowing down a little bit makes a big difference in the long run.
So what are some important questions a patient should ask after they get a new cancer diagnosis?
So, I think the first thing that they need to ask is, well, what are the next steps? If you have a cancer diagnosis, that usually means that you've had a biopsy. Because for somebody could tell you on a CAT scan that something looks suspicious and looks like cancer, but until they actually stick a needle into it or open you up and take a piece of it and run it through pathology where they look at it under the microscope and do some special studies on it, nobody can tell you 100% for sure that it's cancer. So, assuming that a patient's had a biopsy, the next question to ask is really, is this something that I should see a surgeon for, or should I see a medical oncologist? I would say the majority of patients will start in the surgeon's office to see if the cancer is removable as is. And normally, what happens is that the patient will have had We'll get several different types of scans, CAT scans or MRIs or PET scans, and I go through all of that in my book. But those scans will help to identify, is the cancer localized, where they can possibly just remove the whole thing, or has it spread, and does the patient need to have treatment that's going to treat their whole body? And so those are some of the first questions that need to be decided, which is usually in the hands of either a medical or a surgical oncologist.
Your book is called Calming the Cancer Chaos. What does cancer chaos look like for women and families in real life?
Oh, there's so many layers to that. When I think of the chaos that I have experienced with my patients over the years, it falls into several buckets. It can be personal and emotional chaos, it can be family chaos. Most
Mhm.
women, when they first get a diagnosis, their first thought is not even necessarily about themselves. It's
Right.
about, what is this going to do to my family? How am I going to take care of my responsibilities? And how am I going to take care of my husband and my kids? Or maybe I watch my grandkids twice a week, what have you.
Yeah.
What is this going to do to them? And then there's also the financial chaos, right? How am I going
Yeah.
to pay for this? Is insurance going to cover it? How do I manage getting insurance coverage, and how do I manage insurance denials and that sort of thing? And so, there's several different buckets: personal, emotional, family, and financial. And then for some patients that are working, there's that whole component as well. There's the work environment. How am I going to be able to keep working? Am I going to be able to keep my job? Will they fire me? Will I have the laterality to get the treatment that I need at my job? And so those are all, I list them like it's so organized, but when a person gets a diagnosis, boom, that all goes off in their brain, not in an organized list, but was like, ah. So one of the things I talk about in my book and that I try to help patients with when I'm coaching them is to really sit down, make those lists, those buckets: personal, emotional, family, financial, work responsibilities, and list under them all the, just problem solve, just throw it all out, vomit it onto the piece of paper, all the things that you can think of that you are responsible for, that you think are important to me taking care of. And once you do that and you actually can see it laid out on paper, it's actually a little easier to take a step back
Yeah.
and then make a decision slowly. It doesn't have to be done all at once, but take a highlighter or take a pencil and circle the ones that you must do and that only you can do. In other words, as a patient gets a significant diagnosis, like a cancer diagnosis, you're going to have to start leaning on other people to help you, because you can't do it all yourself. Because if you do, then you're not going to be able to properly take care of yourself and your needs to get through the cancer. So if you go through that list and you circle the things that are most important and that only you can do, then you'll see that list is actually quite shorter, much shorter. So, for example, if say that you're a patient and your husband has as an invalid and he can't go to the supermarket for himself, and you are the caregiver in the home, who can you get to help you? What friend, family member can help you to organize a way that supermarket deliveries are brought to your home? Or maybe you learn how to make a list and give it to somebody else who can order it on the internet to get sent to you through Peapod or one of those different delivery services. Is there somebody else that could help you with your grandchildren on Wednesday afternoon? In other words, you understand that there are certain things that are really important in our lives, but that
Yes.
don't necessarily have to be done personally by you, at least during the time when you're most busy caring for yourself.
I think that's one of the challenges every woman has a hard time dealing with is they feel that they are the center of everyone's universe and
They are.
especially
Are you
and
kidding? We are.
listen, no, I know, I agree. I agree. But so many of them have a hard time giving up that responsibility and delegating to others. I know my mom had that issue
Yeah.
when she was diagnosed. And my father, he was just worthless. He was working all the time, and I was the one that had to care for her at a very young age, and
Right.
it was
Right.
very challenging, and my mom kept trying to do things that were really challenging, and I could see her just getting frustrated with herself that she wasn't able to do it. And I literally skipped school my senior year in high school at
Wow.
noon every day and walked home. It was about 5 miles to help
Wow.
her do housework and stuff. So I had already been accepted at nursing school. So I didn't care about school anymore. I wanted to get home and I wanted to help my mom. She kept pushing, pushing, pushing. And I'm the oldest of four. So
Right.
she had a lot of responsibilities, and my dad was not there for her. And while she had a big family, no one stepped up. That's another thing. My mom didn't ask for help. And that's always an issue, I think, with a lot of women because they seem to be feel as if they're failing everybody. And that's one of the most important things they can do is reach out and ask for help.
Absolutely.
Now,
I
what
think
should Oh, I'm sorry, go
oh,
ahead.
no, let me just comment on that because that
Yeah.
was so rich what you just said and so true. And what I have found also is that women feel a significant amount of guilt. It's like
Yes.
loss of caregiver guilt that they're
Yeah.
not doing their job, that they're not doing what's expected of them. And so
Absolutely.
I have many times tried to teach patients to learn how to put themselves first. In other words, if the airplane's going down, you've got to put the oxygen on yourself first before
Yes.
you can help anybody else. So you've
Yes.
got to get better first so that you can resume all those responsibilities. And you can't see this because it's radio, but I have this prescription that I will actually write for patients that says, put you first. And I give them this actual prescription. I tell them to put it on their bathroom mirrors and remember that you can't help anyone if you're not helping yourself. And
Exactly.
and the second thing I just want to comment on when you say that nobody shows up, what I often find is that people will show up, but in a kind of superficial way. And it's really because they don't know what to do. So
100%.
your
Yeah.
best friend will say, "Well, God, call me if you need anything." You're not gonna call her because you don't even know what you need. And
Yep.
so for the people that are listening that have the ability to be a caregiver or to help somebody that has cancer, the best thing you can do is actually be proactive. Maybe you just drop the dinner off and just give them a call and let them know that I left you some food I made you a lasagna and it's on the patio. But even better than that is if the patient themselves can find the strength in themselves to take that list I was just talking about and
Yep.
then make another list of all the people that they feel that they can ask a favor of or that they feel they can lean on and ask them specifically, "Hey,
Yeah.
Judy, could you pick up my grandson from baseball practice on Thursday because I'm going to be at treatment? Hey,
Yeah.
Mary, do you mind running to the supermarket for me on Wednesday and getting this list?" You understand. And you really have to look at what are the things that other people can help you with? Because believe it or not, most people actually want to help. They just don't know how and they don't know what to say.
Yes, and that's why we as women have to learn, and this is typically for caregivers too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
tell them, you have to, if you need something, be specific when somebody offers to help.
Yep.
Because if you know what you need, they're not going to read your mind. They really
Exactly.
aren't. And
Exactly.
that's really something that you really have to seriously consider. And it's important. And if they don't do it the way you want them to do it, but they're getting the same result, don't criticize and
You got to let that go. You got to
yeah,
let that go.
you have to let that go. Yes, yes. If somebody's not walking the dog right or
That's not
or
the route I like. I'm gonna
yeah,
let that
yeah,
go.
yeah,
But
give it up. Right now, you need to take care of yourself and stay on a good, even, positive keel mentally and physically as best you can.
you got to what
Um,
we say, quote unquote, let the little shit go, so to speak, right?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, you gotta let that stuff go.
But there's one other thing I'm sorry, I just got
No, go ahead.
I'm so excited and enthusiastic that somebody wants to talk about this because I think it's so important. But one other thing I wanted to say is that when you make that list of I'm a big list person, obviously. I feel like it
Me
helps to
too.
control the chaos. But
Yeah.
when you make that list and you think about all these different people and the different jobs that you need, okay, you need a ride to chemotherapy. You need a ride to your doctor's appointment. You need somebody to sit with you in the doctor's appointment. Think about the personality type of all these people that you're considering. If
Ah,
Sally can't stop talking and doesn't focus on the problem at hand, Sally's not the right person to bring with you to the doctor's appointment, right? Because she's
yes.
not going to get the notes that you need and she's not going to let the doctor get out what they want. Somebody that's very an alarmist type of a person maybe shouldn't sit with you in chemo. Then, but there's some people that they're active and they're doers and there's things, and maybe they're the best people to go pick up your grandson at practice. So I'm just saying that not everybody's fit for each job. And so because you know these people that you love, you can give them specifically jobs that they can do that are in their wheelhouse.
Yes. And that's a really good point that
Yeah.
you make there. And I also want to add some people, their spouse wants to go with them to everything. And the patients, I have an Italian husband who makes everything about drama. You may not want them to go. And you just have to gently say to them, I love you. I really do. But I need someone else to take me. And
Right.
that's a big deal
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
a
that is
lot of,
tough.
yeah,
Uh,
because I know your loved one, your husband may or spouse or partner even may be not the kind of person you want to take on a doctor's visit.
Yep. One idea, I had a patient, I've had several patients with this, but one patient that I had that had a husband that was like that also had a son who was very organized. But what they did was I would they would bring their phone with them to the office, and I would FaceTime the husband and the son
Yeah.
together. So they were there, but they were in
Huh?
the room. And that sort of controlled the situation a little bit more because the husband was a
Yeah.
lot less active in terms of jumping into the conversation or cutting you off or what sort of thing. The son
Yes.
was kind of helping him, and there was a little bit of a barrier because they were on the other side of a FaceTime. But
Yes.
and that's also another option for patients whose family members live far away. Most doctors don't really like you to tape them for medical legal reasons, but they'll often let you do a FaceTime with a family member across the country so that they can be part of the consultation and hear everything as well.
I love that. I
Mhm.
really like that
Yeah.
because I encourage everybody to try to record. Ask for permission,
Yeah.
but try because it's important that they hear things more than once because initially their minds are like a million things going in their
Right.
mind. What are they saying to me? What does that word mean? I
Which is
don't
why
want to.
somebody else has to take notes for you as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So, what should patients organize first? Like test results, medications, treatment plans?
Oh, it's
What's
so much though. It's so much. So I'll tell you a story just so people don't have to feel bad about not having organization. And people love stories. So I had
yes.
this lovely, lovely family. They were not from this country. They were originally from India, and the patient herself did not speak much English. Her husband spoke some, and the daughter that came with them was fluent. They came in with this like huge shopping bag filled with records and papers and discs from their scans, what have you. And it was like a mess. And every time I asked the patient for something, the husband would dive into this shopping bag and papers were flying all over the place and they're handing me
God
discs
bless
and
them.
you know finally by after we got through the whole consult I got more or less what I needed. I asked the husband to please hand me that shopping bag and could you run to Staples or some office supply store and buy me a binder and buy me a 3-hole punch and some of those sheets that you use and the dividers. And my nurse and I took that shopping bag and during our quote unquote lunch period sat in the back at a big table and just quickly sorted all the papers based on the different groups that they belonged in and then
Uh-huh.
put them in chronological order with the most recent on top. And I hole punched them all and I stuck them into the binder with the tabs and everything. And I handed this binder back to the patient's husband while she was in the back room getting some hydration. And it was life changing for them. He actually started to cry. And I realized that something so simple and straightforward to me, not simple, but straightforward to me because I do it every day, to
Yeah.
sort somebody's medical records and to put them into a binder gives the patient so much more control
Yes.
and over this chaos in the system. And they have something that, he would bring this binder like with pride and joy to every single appointment. And we would reload it with whatever reports or whatever went in there. So I have a whole chapter in my book about how to make this binder. And I will be doing some workshops on it as well. So maybe after we're done, we'll put in the show notes or something about how to reach out to me to get into one of these workshops
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely. Because that's
it's
necessary.
and you know what? It's really not hard once somebody teaches you how to do it.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important in the beginning. You don't know what you're collecting. If you're not in the medical field, you don't even know. So you can
Yeah.
start by just putting it into a binder or into a big folder, and then we'll have to teach you how to put it into the binder. Basically, the tabs are simple. They're going to be radiology, they're going to be doctor's notes, they're going to be a section on medications, could be a section on say pathology reports, etc. Yeah, and there's a way to calm the chaos, and
Yeah.
some of it is organization and some of it is education. It's learning the vocabulary, it's learning what is going on, what the disease is, what your treatment options are, why you're getting a PET scan instead of an MRI, etc. And my book goes through a lot of this so that people have just the basic understanding. You don't have to become an oncologist, but at least
Yeah.
understand enough that you can follow along. And that allows you to better participate in your care. If you understand, you can participate and you can ask educated questions and you can ask the doctor, what am I missing here? What are you not telling me that I need to know?
That's beautiful. That's helpful. So, how can a family caregiver, a spouse, a partner help a loved one prepare for oncology appointments without taking over the patient's voice? That's really important.
Yeah. I think one way is to get a notebook and or a planner or something and
Mhm.
maybe sit down with the patient first. And one of the things that's really important, I think, as you're going into something like this is to not just those lists of responsibilities, but to maybe list your 3 priorities in life. If your most important priority right now is, you know what? I need to get to Florida by February because my husband and I can't handle the winter in New York. And this is a vital, important thing for me. Might
Mhm.
not seem important to the doctor or to your friend, but to you, getting to your condo in Miami might be the most important thing that you can do to get yourself out of New York because you know every winter, otherwise, you've had a fall, you get depressed, your husband doesn't tolerate the cold, what have you. So, say that's one of your priorities. Your next priority is to make sure that you get to keep relationships going regularly with your family and friends. And, when you can express those things to your doctor, then they can help you make decisions in terms of your treatment as well. For example, if your priority is to, let's say your priority is, I want to kill this cancer no matter what it takes. I don't care what else I give up. I need to kill this cancer. I'll lose my hair. I will isolate myself if I need to. That's a different priority than I want to make sure that I can go visit my grandkids every week and I want to make sure that I'm not sick. And
Exactly.
so everybody has their own set of priorities, and
Mhm.
I used to say when I walked into one exam room to the next, that every room I walked into was a different world. I was opening a
Yep.
different world to people that have different priority sets and have different goals, and so it's important, and doctors don't usually ask you that, and I'm guilty of that
No, they
myself.
don't. Yeah.
I'm guilty of that myself. We have an agenda. We have to get your diagnosis cleared up. We've got to tell you what your medical options are, explain the treatments to you, get you started, what have you. We're not necessarily sitting there and asking you, what are your goals? And we should be. We
Yeah.
should be. What I'm doing now is trying to educate patients so that they will offer it themselves.
That's a great point you're making there because we don't think of our own priorities, and we definitely don't think about telling the doctor, "Hey, I want my priority is to get to Florida this winter."
Oh, I've had plenty of patients tell me that. I've also
Yeah.
had patients tell me that I don't care what you do to me, but if I lose my hair, I'm done with treatment. Eh, But then
You
the
know
next room, the patient says, I don't care what you do to me. You can let off a nuclear bomb over my head
Yeah.
as long as you get rid of this cancer. You got to tell the doctor what's important to you. And they may want to
Yeah.
try to negotiate with that with you, but
Yeah.
you need to know yourself.
Dr. Tiffany, I worked at a cancer center and I had a patient that came in. It was her second round of being diagnosed with breast cancer. And she held back she didn't tell anybody she knew it had reoccurred because she didn't want to lose her hair. She didn't want to lose anything. And she ended up, while she came into the cancer center, she was getting tested that she says, well, they told her it had metastasized and she didn't have long to live. And she said, I knew that was going to happen, but I was going to go out looking good. And I was like, okay.
You know what? I laugh. You think it's absurd, but again, it's her prerogative. It's her choice.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
she even told you she wasn't surprised. So,
Yes.
is
Yes.
it the choice I would make? No, but it's her choice to make. And
Exactly.
blessings to
Exactly.
her that she knew herself well enough to know what she
What she
wanted.
wanted. Yeah. She had been
Yeah.
through it once and didn't want to go through it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So now many patients.
I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off one more time.
Okay.
My only concern here about that is
Oh,
that I don't know that patient. I don't know her case or anything.
yeah.
If she, and for anybody that's listening that might be in this circumstance, go tell the doctor anyway. Go find out what your choices are
I
because she
agree.
doesn't know. what
Yeah.
she doesn't know. So perhaps
Exactly.
there were treatments where she wouldn't have lost her hair, or,
Yeah.
maybe there was a pill she could take that wouldn't make her sick, but that would still prolong her life and or prevent it from coming back. So I
Yes.
think that, again, my catchphrase here is you don't know what you don't know. And so you really need to at least get educated and then make your decision.
And I agree, and the other thing is things are changing in the world of
Yep.
cancer all the time, and what worked may have caused problems has been with loss of hair and stuff. They have treatments now that may not even do that to you. So
Exactly.
you I say if you think it's come back, at least check it out.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And even when you think things might be too far gone, for example, I have many patients that she was 58 years old, I think. She had metastatic uterine cancer. And when I first met her, her son brought her in. She was in a wheelchair. She was kind of out of it because she was on so many pain meds because the cancer was causing her significant pain once it had come back again.
Yeah.
And her previous doctor had told her that, there was nothing left that they could do and that she should go on hospice. And her son didn't want to accept that. And so he came for a second opinion. And at the time, immunotherapy was still experimental, but she had the exact type of cancer that matched the clinical study that we were doing. I put her on this immunotherapy. Can I tell you, 10 years later,
Oh,
she's remarried, she's got a job, she's happy, she feels well. She was gonna die. So
yeah.
you don't know what you don't know. There are
Yeah.
things out there that, and she got through immunotherapy with almost no side effects. It was amazing. And they had sent her home to die. That's a miracle story, but it's not as uncommon as you would think these days.
I agree. Yes. So, what are some red flags that a patient might not be getting the communication, explanation, or support they need from their own oncology team?
Well, that's tough because it varies per person on
Yeah.
their comprehension level, but
Yeah.
if you repeatedly don't feel like you're getting the answers to the questions that you're asking, I often would tell my patients to write down their questions,
Yeah.
and so that I was very clear in answering them, because and sometimes I would even write my answers down for them. If a patient came in with a big page of questions, my
Mhm.
nurse knew. She would ask them, "Do you have any questions to ask the doctor?" And she would take them out ahead of time so that I could quickly file through them and be prepared when I go into that office to give them the answers that they need, as opposed to being sort of like, have to do research in front of the patient because I don't know the
Yes.
answer to their particular question. So
Yeah.
one suggestion is always to sort of preempt the questions to your doctor or to their office so they know that they're coming so they're prepared to answer them for you. But other things are if you just don't really understand or if you don't feel like you're getting different treatment options, maybe your doctor can't explain it to you the way that you need it to explain to you. Maybe they don't have enough options. Maybe they don't have the clinical trials that you potentially need. And so people should always think about getting a second opinion. And it's not a thing against the doctor. And what I always used to tell my patients is that it's not personal. It's you. It's your life. This is your prerogative to get a second opinion. And maybe the next guy will explain your situation in a clearer way than I did. Maybe somebody else can help you more. And again, it's your life. So those are things that we have to look at. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that just if you feel dismissed on a regular basis, if you don't get the answers that you're looking for, or even worse, if you have a symptom or a problem, if they're not getting back to you in a timely fashion, that's an issue, right? If you have a fever while you have cancer and you have a chemotherapy, their office needs to get back to you as soon as possible.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, what questions should patients ask about side effects, fertility, fatigue, work, caregiving responsibilities, or even the quality of life that may experience a change in before treatment begins?
You brought up a very interesting one for younger women who still are of childbearing age. If
Yeah.
particularly if you want to have children, you need to ask front about your fertility options. It may require egg retrieval, which can be done usually pretty quickly, a couple weeks before you actually start treatment. But also in certain patients that don't have younger patients that don't have hormone responsive cancers, that don't necessarily have to go into menopause. So, for example, I have a young woman that I was consulting for that had a triple negative breast cancer, and they had started her chemotherapy. And then I met with her and I said, "Wait, did they give you Lupron?" She said, "No." She's 38 years old. I said, well, your cancer is not hormonally driven. So there's really no reason to have to go into menopause. So please
Mhm.
call your doctor. And because I was consulting, not treating, call your doctor and ask them about Lupron, which causes your ovaries to go to sleep. And the theory is that it will prevent the ovaries from taking up a lot of the chemotherapy and causing the damage. So when treatment's done and you stop the Lupron, your ovaries will wake back up and still be productive. So that's those two things are very important for younger patients. For patients that are past childbearing, I think some of the most important things are to ask, am I going to be able to work through this? What are the major side effects that I should be aware of that I need to be prepared for? And to make sure that, for example, if you're still trying to work and you know that on 2 days after chemo, you're not going to feel well and you're probably going to have some bone pain or what have you, maybe you get treated on Wednesday and work maybe Thursday when you're still feeling okay, and you take off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or something of that nature, right? And so that you
Right.
can plan your schedule around your treatment and the side effects that you're expecting to have.
That's one thing that has always is surprising me now, how many people are able to go to work during their
Mhm.
chemotherapy sessions, and it's the advancements we've made just in my 54 years of nursing is
Yeah.
shocking to me.
Yeah.
So,
It's
now
true.
I wanna talk about the empowered cancer patient community you have developed. Tell me about it and how it helps women feel less alone and more prepared.
Sure. So first I'm going to tell you a funny story. I started it on Facebook and I had, I don't know, 3,000 people had joined and each person is individually accepted by me. I don't do a deep dive background, but I just make sure that you're not a bot and you're not a creep from somewhere
Yeah.
overseas that's doing
Yeah.
weird things and would have let people into and they have to answer a couple questions, what have you. So anyway, so I had 3,000 plus people in this Facebook group. And then somebody started impersonating me. And so they had a fake page called
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Tiffany Troso, and they were selling ivermectin and fish oil and fake cancer cures and selling them like
Oh,
they were
yeah,
me.
yeah.
And so I started complaining and calling Facebook and having my friends and family complain and what have you. And guess what happened? They took me off.
You know what? That does not surprise me at
They
all.
took the wrong Dr. Troso down.
Yep, yep, that does not surprise me at all. Unbelievable.
So I've restarted and I'm much smaller now, but that's fine. I am on school right now, and as currently it's a free community.
Yeah, I'm
And
familiar with it.
yes, and so again, I'm bringing patients in one at a time. Just tell me where you found me, tell me 3 words about yourself, what have you, and then bring them in. And, the idea is the same. Essentially, my goal is to help facilitate conversation, meaningful conversation. I don't want anybody making other people feel bad for their choices or what have you. But for example, I had a lovely woman just today join the group, and she had triple negative breast cancer. It was inflammatory. She had chemotherapy, she had surgery, and then at the time of surgery, there was still a little bit of cancer left in the breast. So the protocol for that is to put patients on an oral chemotherapy for a period of time after, and that chemo is called Xeloda. I happen to know, because again, I'm personally managing this, that there are several other people in the group that are walking along that same journey. So I said to that patient that just joined, would you mind telling a paragraph or so what your experience has been with Xeloda? And then I would tag the other people, or somebody was very private, and so I just sent them a
Yeah,
private message, "Hey, take a look at this." And just sort of opening conversations and dialogue so women can help one another. And then I put up several different discussion topics. They're called Dr. Trosa's weekly discussion topics. So one of them is, how did you set boundaries for yourself when you had cancer? In other words, how did keep people from coming over your house all the time? Or how did you make sure that your time was protected when you needed to heal? I will ask people what I actually just started a store. So I have a Shopify store that I created. And I just put that link in the group because I want people to A, see what I have in there, and B, give me suggestions for other things that they think would be helpful to other cancer patients. So
yeah,
what I put in the store are basically links to Amazon. So I get 2 cents on the dollar for anything that people
yeah.
buy. It's not a money-making thing. It's
I
a public
understand.
service announcement.
Yeah.
And basically it's all the things over the years that my patients have used that has been helpful to them. The types of cryotherapy gloves, the gloves you use to prevent numbness and tingling while you're getting chemotherapy, the types of creams people use after their mastectomy, etc. And I just posted that in the group yesterday. And so I'm waiting to get some feedback from people about other things to put in. And for example, somebody said, you don't have lip gloss in there. You should have lip gloss, something to protect your lips. They get very dry while you're on chemo.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Lip gloss goes in. Yeah.
But
It's just
something simple like that is so
right.
important.
And you might not have thought about that.
And
And
you might
so, right.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah. For the woman or caregiver listening right now who's overwhelmed after a cancer diagnosis, what is the first small step they can take today to feel more in control?
Like I said before, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And I really think that writing things down really helps a lot. And so, what they would write down depends on where they are in the journey. So, if
Mhm.
you're talking about somebody that's in the middle of their treatment, maybe they need control over their sense of loss of life that they feel like they've had, or maybe they need control over the symptoms that they're experiencing. So, I think one of the things that's really important is to write down. It takes it out of your short-term memory and sort of just puts it on a piece of paper so you don't have to, like, think about it all the time or worry about it or you don't wanna forget it or what have you. Just let it go, put it on a piece of paper, and then you can address it,
Yeah.
one thing at a time so that it doesn't feel like everything in the world is crashing on your head.
I think that's really important too because brain fog or chemo fog is very real.
Yep,
And to write it down helps you remember without having to have to retrieve it in your
right,
memory.
and have the anxiety that you're gonna forget it.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm a list maker as well. So, Dr. Tiffany, how do people find you?
Ugh. I'm pretty much everywhere these days. I think the easiest way to find me where everything is gathered together is on my website, which is drtiffanytroso.com. So drtiffanytroso.com, drtiffanytroso.com. And there you can get a link to join my free community. You can sign up to be on my email list to get updates on when my book is being released. You can sign up to get coaching with me. I also have VIP memberships where people will work one-to-one with me, either medically and or for coaching. And you also have links to my podcast and to my Substack where I write a blog. But I think one thing really important, make sure you join my email list because I'm not going to spam you, but I think you're getting a lot of valuable things that will help you on a weekly basis.
And that's important because people going through we all go through cancer in a different way,
Yeah.
and our journeys are different, but some of the information that you provide can be universal to everyone,
Yeah.
and that's really important.
Yep. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Tiffany, for taking
Thank
the
you.
time out of your busy schedule to provide this. I'm a big advocate of advocates such as yourself.
Thank you so
And
much.
and
This
I
was a really
love
wonderful conversation. Thank you.
yeah, thank you. I've helped people through cancer. My mom, I personally experienced with
Mhm.
cancer, and I have so many friends that are going through cancer treatment right now. And the chaos is real. Cancer
It is real.
chaos is real. And I was so excited to be able to get you on because you take a totally different perspective than most doctors do, and it's necessary. So I wish you much success
Thank you so
in
much.
getting the word out, and I'm glad to be part of that. So,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
So,
Listen, reach out if I can do anything to help you or your friends, okay? I'm here. This
yes,
is what I'm
thank
doing
you.
now.
Oh, I know. I'm trying to spread the word on a lot of different topics for my caregivers and the seniors out there. To
Perfect.
my family caregivers out there, you are the most important part of the caregiving equation. Without you, it all falls apart. So please learn to be gentle with yourself. Practice self-care every day because you are worth it.